Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're going to take what is, frankly, a pretty dangerous list of manipulation techniques and flip the script, transforming them into your ultimate survival guide. We're taking a really unflinching look at dark psychology, specifically the hidden frameworks used by master manipulators, and we're going to forge them into your personal armor.
So are you being played without even knowing it? It's a pretty heavy question, isn't it? Just think about the classic nice guys or the people pleasers who are always available, always listening to everyone's problems, but then they end up completely disrespected or ignored when they actually need a hand. You see, master manipulators treat these everyday, well-meaning interactions exactly like pieces on a chessboard. And the harsh reality is, if you don't know the rules of the game, you're already playing as a pawn.
To fix that, here's our game plan. We're going to cover the mastermind delusion, the information war, hacking the ego, crisis and conflict engineering, emotional investment, and finally, we'll wrap it all up with your defensive playbook.
All right, starting with Section 1, the mastermind illusion, turning fiction into a factual radar.
You know, pop culture really loves to romanticize these sociopathic mastermind characters, but the real-world reality is much colder. Normal people call it friendship, but a manipulator, they call it a weapon. And that brings us to our core focus today, empowering you to actually recognize when your natural empathy, your genuine desire to connect and be a good friend, is being hijacked and used as a tool for someone else's endgame. Moving on to Section 2, the information war. We're looking at the ghost, the data broker, and the candy trap.
Look, pretty much everyone wants to be the main character, right? But the manipulator actually acts more like a ghost. They deliberately blend right into the background because, well, unseen people aren't perceived as threats. Then they become what we call a data broker. When you're venting your frustrations, they aren't listening to be a supportive friend. They are literally logging your fears and secrets into a mental vault. So, your absolute best countermove here, guard your emotional boundaries. Just because someone is quietly nodding in sympathy doesn't mean you should overshare. They might just be locking away your vulnerabilities for later use.
Now, what's genuinely fascinating about this next tactic is how it totally goes against our natural instincts. Say you suspect someone in your friend group is a backstabber. Your first urge is probably to confront them directly, right? But don't do that. They'll just deny it. Instead, take a page from intelligence agencies. They use a technique called a barium meal, or as we're calling it, the candy trap.
So, here is exactly how you execute this play. You tell suspect A that you failed a huge exam. You tell suspect B you had a terrible fight with your partner. And you tell suspect C you are completely broke. And then you just sit back and wait. Whichever exact rumor makes its way back to you instantly identifies your leak. It's brilliant. But here's the crucial defensive rule. Once you find the snake in the grass, do not cause drama. Don't cut them off entirely. Keep them close and just feed them the controlled delusions that you actually want them to spread. Let's jump into Section 3, Hacking the Ego. This covers ego massage, inception, and the Ben Franklin effect.
Manipulators know our biggest vulnerability is that we all secretly want to feel superior. Through a tactic called ego massage, they will literally feign weakness just to ask for your help, which gives you this nice little dopamine spike. Then, through inception, rather than directly ordering you around, which bruises your ego, they ask leading questions. They do this so you walk away feeling like their hidden agenda was actually your own brilliant idea. Your countermove? Be hyper-aware of unearned flattery. Take a pause and seriously question if that idea you're so aggressively defending in a group is actually yours or if somebody else planted it there.
And that leads us right into a really famous psychological glitch known as the Ben Franklin effect. This is literally where a person's subconscious tricks them into liking someone just because they did a minor favor for them. Now, overhelping obviously makes you a doormat, but if someone is constantly asking you for tiny, seemingly harmless favors like, hey, hold my phone for a second, or can you remind me about that meeting, they are actively hijacking your brain chemistry. They're manufacturing an emotional attachment. They make you feel big and important, all while they are quietly pulling the strings.
Moving to Section 4, Crisis and Conflict Engineering. We're talking manufactured dependency and proxy strikes.
Nice guys are always the first to rush in and solve minor problems, right? But a mastermind, they use manufactured dependency. They will actually stand back and watch you struggle. Sometimes they even engineer the crisis behind the scenes. They wait for you to hit absolute rock bottom, and only then do they swoop in to save the day. They know your exhausted, broken brain will view them as an absolute god figure. To defend yourself here, you really have to recognize that a savior who magically appears at the exact moment you break might have orchestrated the whole struggle just to guarantee your lifelong loyalty. Next up is the proxy strike. For a manipulator, direct conflict is just a massive waste of energy. Why get your hands dirty? Instead, they'll find people who already have an issue with their enemy and casually drop subtle hints to spark a massive fire. They keep their hands totally clean while their proxies go out and destroy each other. Listen to me, do not become a weapon in someone else's war. If you ever feel inexplicably enraged by some piece of third-party gossip that just conveniently dropped into your lap, take a huge step back. You are being used.
All right, into Section 5, Emotional Investment and Silence, the sunk cost and the blank face.
Let's consider the sunk cost fallacy. This is that psychological trap where you continue an endeavor just because you've already invested time or effort into it. The absolutely crucial point here is that human beings do not value what they are given for free. A manipulator knows this. If they give 100% of themselves right away, they look cheap. Instead, they purposely give only about 20% effort, forcing you to invest the other 80% by chasing them and spending your emotional energy. Once you've invested that much of yourself, your brain makes it virtually impossible to just walk away.
And finally, we have what is arguably the ultimate defensive weapon, the blank face. When someone tries to control you by throwing out insults or trying to provoke you in front of people, reacting means game over. You've literally just handed them the control they wanted. Instead, try this. Stare completely deadpan without blinking for exactly 3 seconds, and then simply look away as if they don't even exist. It's basically the human equivalent of serving them a 404 error page. This response shatters their ego by denying them the one thing they crave, a reaction. They will panic internally, because an unprovoked person simply cannot be defeated.
Let's pull this all together in Section 6, your defensive playbook, a quick reference guide. Here is your prioritized quick reference guide to identify and counter these manipulative behaviors in the real world. First, guard your emotional data against the ghosts. Second, trace any leaks using the candy trap. Third, protect your ego by really questioning unearned flattery. Fourth, always beware the savior who seemingly manufactured your dependency. Fifth, absolutely never fight a proxy war for someone else. And lastly, when you are provoked, deny them their power by using the blank face. Internalizing these key defensive strategies effectively flips the script, ensuring you are never an unknowing pawn on someone else's board.
I'll leave you with this provocative thought to consider the next time somebody tries to push your buttons. Is the most powerful move actually no reaction at all? Very often, mastering your own silence is the absolute ultimate armor. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Stay sharp out there and keep your